The Portland Trail Blazers have an absolutely massive offseason ahead of them. Currently, they are kind of stuck in a no man's land, which is not at all where you want to be in the NBA. They have a aging superstar. However, as good as he may be, even though he averaged an insane stat line this year, he's surrounded by a very good young core that is very underrated in my opinion. Between Anthony Simons, Shadon Sharpe, Cam Reddish, and Matisse Thybulle. They got some really good young pieces. So we're going to be talking today about the offseason preview for the Portland Trail Blazers, what they should do, especially when it comes to trading Dame. So make sure you stick around for the full video, hit the like button, and leave me a comment down below. And let's go and get started looking at the offseason preview and the guide to the Portland Trail Blazers offseason. They have, of course, a very good top pick in the draft, projected at number 5, but they also have picks 23 and 43, so you could add another good prospect later in the first round. They have a few key free agents though, with Jeremy Grant, Cam Reddish, and Matisse Thybulle. That's a lot of money, or that's a lot of guys to only have about $22 million to spend in free agency. So they're going to have to be creative with how they bring these guys back. The first big question for the Blazers this offseason is if they trade their longtime franchise player Damian Lillard. Their title window with Dame has closed. We need to face that. The roster is not really ready to compete for an NBA championship around him. He doesn't really have that true co-star. I mean, Jeremy Grant's cool and all, but for a 33-year-old making $45 million, they probably need to explore some other avenues, explore some other ways to go about going forward with this franchise. I get he averaged 32 points, 7.3 assists, 4.8 rebounds, and maybe don't move on from him quite yet. Maybe give him another season or two to see how quickly this young core develops around him, because he was electric last year. But sooner rather than later, you're probably going to have to look into trading Dame. However, with the draft coming up, they do have a top 5 pick. Maybe they move this to get a win now type guy, or they draft one of these 3 players I have up here. My favorite for them to draft is Jarace Walker, who averaged 11.7 rebounds last year at Houston. He's got a grown man's frame already. I mean, he is physically ready for the NBA, you can tell. He continued to get better and better and better as the year progressed while he was at Houston. At 6'8", 240, very imposing figure. He's going to be a monster whether he plays in the paint, on the perimeter. I think he can guard on the perimeter, he can guard in the paint. He projects to be a really, really good defender going forward. Overall, Jarace Walker would be my pick at 5. If they don't go that route, they can go get Azor Thompson. Thompson is an electrifying athlete, uber athletic, and probably the worst of the 2 Thompson twins. However, they dominated the OTE league together. Not sure what his averages were, but they were. I mean, he was the second best player in that league, only behind his brother Amin. Even though that is a lower level of competition compared to the G League or the college level, still super athletic. His shot making has improved from the first year to the second year in OTE, which is something you look for. So maybe you go with the Azor Thompson route or the Cam Whitmore route, a guy that can play the 3 as well. 12.5 points, 5.7 rebounds on decent efficiency this year at Villanova. He's a big body guard too. If they want to get some more height, weight, speed, they can go with that. They can go that avenue and get some freakish athletes, because there are some freak athletes in this draft. Now, when you go down to 23, these are the 2 targets that I think they should be going after. Derek Lively would be a match made in heaven for this Blazers team. I don't know if he falls all the way to 23 though. GG Jackson would be cool, a guy you can kind of take a flyer on. Maybe he develops into a good piece off your bench, or maybe you take him, you move on from Jeremy Grant, and you plug him right into the starting rotation, or Jarace Walker into the starting rotation. You move GG to the backup 4. I mean, either way you want to do it, that would work. But Derek Lively, elite shot blocker, he just gobbles up rebounds around the glass. I think he's going to be an elite NBA player, elite rim protector, elite. He'll have very good control of the paint for however long he plays, and I think he'd be a good fit in Portland behind Jusuf Nurkic. And then at 43, I think they either try and go out and get like Ryan Rupert from the Australian League, the NBL, or you get Imoni Bates. Imoni Bates has played a lot of point guard. He can come in, maybe play the backup 1, or you can move him back out of the wing. Whatever they decide to do at 43, that's kind of just a flyer pick there. Now, the big decisions, other than, of course, the Dame trade, are the free agency decisions. Jeremy Grant, eligible for a 4-year, $112 million contract extension. He is 28, going on 29. Is he worth that much money? That's the big question if you're the Blazers GM that you have to be asking yourself. 20.5 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists. He's a guy that, if you're going to be building around Dame, if you're going to be trying to contend, you have to bring him back. 48% from the field, 40% from 3 in 36 minutes. He's a great option on the offensive side of the ball. However, defensively, and when it comes to rebounding, crashing the glass, he's sometimes not the best. So that's a big decision you have to make. And then another decision here between these two wings. You probably cannot bring both of these guys back unless you don't bring Jeremy Grant back, which I could see. You go for the younger options. Cam Reddish averaged 11 points, 3 boards, 2 assists. But if you do bring Grant back, you have to make a decision between one of these two guys. 44% from the field, 32% from 3, and 1.2 steals for Reddish this year, unless you can just both get him for super cheap, which I don't think will be happening. Thibault actually had a nice year once he got to Portland, 7.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, but he was very efficient. He knocked down the 3 ball, which is, play defense and defend, and you've got a spot in this league. Matisse averaged 1.7 steals, shot at 47% from the field, 38% from 3 in 28 minutes. He was very good in the minutes that he played last year for the Blazers. Now, a guy that I think is really going to take a step next year is Shadon Sharpe. He averaged 10 points, 3.2 rebounds, and 1 assist per game this year as a rookie. He shot at 47% from the field, 36% from 3, 22 minutes, was one of the youngest players in the class. I believe he'll still be 19 at the time the season starts next year, and there was a reason he was my number 2 prospect on the board. Per 36 numbers, he averaged 16 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists per game. Now, I did have this guy ranked ahead of Paulo by a spot, which is probably going to be an L on my part, but I think Shadon Sharpe has all the tools to become an electrifying wing in the modern NBA. Looking at the lineups going into next year, this is probably what you're looking at. I mean, if you do decide to bring back all your guys and not trade that number 5 overall pick to run it back, I mean, this was a team that was in contention, and then Dame got hurt. If they can stay healthy, it's a team that definitely can contend for a playoff spot in the West. Either one of those. I mean, Dame and Anthony Simons, that's a very good backcourt duo. If Jeremy Grant can continue to give you 20 a game, Matisse Thybulle brings the perimeter defense there from that small forward position, and then Jusuf Nurkic bringing the rebounding and the control of the paint from the center spot. I think this is a very, very solid team out west. I mean, you're not going to be competing for a championship, but you still will be competitive and relevant in the playoffs. The bench it'll be young. You want to throw in your rookies that you get. I mean, we'll throw in Imoni Bates at the backup 1. Shadon Sharpe, I think, is going to be a monster next year. Cam Reddish is there as well, Jarace Walker, and then Derek Lively. Between Shadon Sharpe, Reddish, if they can bring him back, and then Jarace Walker and Derek Lively, it could be a competitive bench. They will need some development and some growth, some time to be patient, and maybe you don't have time for that as the Blazers if you're trying to compete with Dame Lillard, so you would probably need to sign some free agents. You also have guys like Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, and Trendon Watford that you can look to if you don't want to play the rookies, and that's probably what they do. They probably won't have 3 rookies coming off the bench. It'll probably just be Jarace, who top 5 pick, but he'll probably have to come off the bench at first. You can play Matisse in the starting lineup. We'll see how it all works out, though. With that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like button and leave me a comment down below if you did enjoy today's video at any point. And with all that being said, thanks so much for watching today's video.